Memory is what makes us who we are. Memories of the past, for instance, is what makes us be able to evaluate the present as we plan for tomorrow. And I think what the colonial process does is the erasure of the memory of the subjugated, the memory of who they are, their memories of the past, the memory of their being, as a people. By erasing that memory, you plant another memory, the memory of the colonizer or the memory of the one who is dominating.
All right, welcome to episode 3 of the Realize It Africa webcast. We're very excited and continue to explore the topic of the beliefs that guide our thinking and therefore the life that we are living. Part of thinking about the beliefs that guide your thinking is understanding what you need to unlearn. I think it's a critical point that you need to really hone your skill set to identify what you need to unlearn and then work on unlearning it. I'm Dr. Ana Amani with
Alex Businje.
And we are very happy you joined us today. So part of what I want to talk about today is I want to give an example. I want to give a concrete example where in that moment, I had to start to unlearn and really put into practice the modified behavior that I needed in that particular moment. And this had to do with my upbringing as an African girl and having deference both to males and to people that are older than me. So I was taught to, have deference, allow them to, kind of put my opinion below theirs or not assert my opinion over people that are older than me and males to a greater extent. And as I was working in corporate America, I'm a young woman. This was in my 20s. And I happened to get a position where I got a human resources role. Mm-hmm. And in that role, I was to advise the executive committee, which was made up almost entirely of older white males. Mm-hmm. And I was in that moment, and I was with my boss at the time. She was a female, an older female, and she saw my hesitation at asserting myself in that moment, in that environment, and she kind of took me aside and said, "You're the authority. Your opinion is what's going to be taken forward here." So in that moment, I had to really put aside and understand to start unlearning that way of being where I wasn't allowed to assert myself, or I wasn't supposed to assert myself. It wasn't culturally appropriate to assert myself, and so to be able to assert myself in that particular moment. And so, part of that was really starting to think about what are the things that you need to you also need to be context specific, right? Because I need to be able to assert myself in that moment, but also within going back into the cultural environment, understand when to also, step back a bit. Especially as a woman in leadership, it's always like a balance that you're trying to strike. Because, especially when you're working in the African context, you don't want to come across as this, very aggressive person, but you also need people to respect and accept your authority in that particular position that you're appointed to do. So that was kind of in the moment. You're learning, unlearning, and practicing and understanding how to identify that. First, I needed to identify where was this coming from that I wasn't really able to assert myself. And then once I did that, being able to assert myself and understanding how I want to use that in ways that are beneficial to the kind of life that I want to live, that I aspire to live. Any examples in your life that you want?
No, I'm just so intrigued
Cool.
by yours.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Like, I feel like I'm in the middle of a movie.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I wanted to know, like, okay, when you got, when that happened for you,
Yeah.
what was that like? How did you move forward to actually start challenging, or waking up yourself, like pinching yourself and be like, hey, this is your moment.
Yeah.
And when was like following that moment,
Yes.
from when your boss told you that?
Yeah.
How did it feel like the first time you actually asserted yourself in the room?
Well, it turns out that I didn't really have a hard time asserting myself because I'm the oldest. So
So
I have plenty of practice.
So you guess what?
It was the environment. It was the environment,
Yeah.
right? That was holding me back. It was how I was supposed to act in that environment. And so yeah, I needed that permission, but at times you're not going to have someone there who's going to give you that permission. And I think another insight is sometimes you have to give yourself that permission. You have to understand, you have to identify it, and then give yourself that permission. But yeah, it turns out that I'm quite good at asserting myself.
So it was already under
Yeah,
the
she
stuff.
saw it. Yes,
it was
yes.
there. And I think the challenge I've always come across when I'm dealing with anyone who I'm trying to say, hey, you need to own your space, assert yourself, is that if they don't already believe it, if they don't already believe they have that power,
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to get it out of them, right?
Right. If they themselves
If
don't.
they themselves. And speaking about career, I remember this time when I was managing a PR crisis, and I was new at the job, so the management was reluctant to let me handle it on my own. So they called the company lawyer and told him he has to lead on the crisis, and you tell me what to do, and then I would follow, because I was new. I think I was just maybe 2-3 weeks in the job, and I will never forget this guy. This guy walks in, and I'm looking at him, asking him, okay, so what do we do next? We have this crisis, and I've been directed to you.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I've been directed to you. And then I'm like, yeah, well, they told me that you would know what to do. And he was like, wait, look, you're the expert.
Right.
You're the expert. You're the public relations professional. I'm here to support you. So you lead the way.
Right.
And as soon as he did that, it's like just like what had happened for you,
Right.
when someone gave you permission. No one needed to give you permission anymore.
Right.
I was like, okay, this is what we are going to do. This is the plan.
Yeah.
And now I just need you to help me see if this is legally correct.
Yes.
You know what I
If
mean?
we're covered legally.
Yeah, and that was the first like crisis I dealt with so much confidence. And I remember at another point, there's a time when we're managing a crisis and all that, and the board was us in the communications world, we always struggle with earning our seat at the table. So the senior management was meeting to actually deal with this particular crisis.
Yes.
And I had to go straight to the chairman of the board. So I went to the chairman of the board, and I told him, I have a way to sort this crisis out.
Right.
And he was like, well, if you do, then do it. Right? If you So I remember storming into the senior management meeting and say, this is what we are going to do. So speaking, sometimes, you do need that permission.
Yes.
Especially, we all do. No matter which room you step into, it's only human to doubt yourself for a second. But I can totally see how that and might have unfolded for you. And I'm just glad that they did it, because now we have the benefit of having a very assertive Dr. Anna.
I don't know if everybody thinks that's beneficial, but it is what it is, as Michelle Obama said.
No, it is. In many ways, you are where you are right now
Yes, yes.
because of the decisions that you made,
Yeah.
and that could those are pivotal moments
Right,
that we
right,
have on the
right,
way.
right.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
and that's why you're still remembering it as a moment that made you maybe perhaps unlearn something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I think being human means that you have to go through these things over and over again where life challenges you and you forget sometimes who you are.
Yes,
and,
yes, yes.
and you have to remind yourself like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This is who I am. Yeah.
so that is for me, just to answer your question, that was one of them for me. But yeah, I think ever since that time for me as well, I've never really shied away from the moment, unless I know it's not my moment.
Right.
It's not someone else. Sometimes someone tells me, hey, it's your time to shine, you go ahead and do this, and I'm like, nah, it's not my
It's not my time. This isn't about me.
this is not about me
Yes,
right now.
yes, yes, yes.
Let someone else have it.
Yeah.
You get
It's
what-
all a balance, but I also think, and I greatly appreciate, and I feel like I've had the good fortune, but I said that to someone and they weren't like, maybe you didn't have the good fortune, but it's you that brings it out. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like I've had the good fortune to work with people who took an interest in nurturing me as a leader and nurturing me, or seeing that potential and wanting to really work with me to progress. And I think as we grow in our career, how do we also pay that forward? How do we step in? How do we see young people or people whose potential is perhaps not as fully realized, and then work to get them to express
yeah.
or come into their full potential?
Is when you speak about potential, it gets even deeper, and I'm glad that you've had those people. And I think in the previous episode, I shared with you how I used to struggle when I was younger academically, not knowing, to a point that I just kind of like lost interest in it.
Right.
And in school, in so many things, and I just said like, paying attention to only what I liked. If it spoke to me, then I just went out for it. So, and I remember, and it was in a way the words that surround you, or the environment that surround you, and I always say we have a very special gift as a society. I wouldn't call it special, but okay, I say it's special, but yeah, in the way we do it, is special, and not in a good way.
Right.
But we are bringing each other down.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yes, of bringing each other down. Like someone says, this, you have potential, and I'm like, maybe, like,
Not seeing it.
not seeing it, and for me. I was having a conversation with someone very dear to me this morning, and I was telling her that I know that she meant very well. She meant well when when I giving me guidance many times, but often that guidance was from a place of fear. And when someone is trying to guide you,
Yes.
someone is trying to get you to realize your potential,
Yes.
but they're coming from a point of fear. They're not really, what they're really teaching you to do is not to, they're teaching you how not to fail, but not how to succeed. Right? So when you're working towards succeeding, there's a difference between working towards succeeding and and working towards not
failing. Yes. Yes.
And it has two very different outcomes.
Yeah.
The time when I got the difference for me, and that was because that was what characterized my early childhood learning all the way going up
Mm.
was every time I was just trying not to fail. I was
Right.
just trying not to disappoint people. I was trying to not disappoint my parents. I was trying not to disappoint my relatives.
Mhm.
I was trying not to disappoint myself.
Right.
Right? So I was aiming for exactly what I was getting,
Mm.
being in the middle.
Mm.
You're not really failing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you're not really
Really. Yeah.
succeeding.
Yeah.
So I was really driving myself to exactly where I was. I was getting the results I was putting in
Mhm.
because I was just trying not to fail.
Right.
And I was
Right.
I became somewhat comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And everything changed for me
Mm.
when I met a man called Mr. Bong.
Mhm.
This guy was like 75 years old,
Mm.
gray hair.
Mm.
You know, he just looked wise
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
And he looked at me one time and said, by the way, Alex, I don't know if you know, but in my 30 years of experience,
Mhm.
I have rarely seen a talent like yours.
Mm.
And if you do A, B, C, D, and E, I promise you, you can be one of the greatest people to do this work.
Mhm.
And it was the first time anyone had ever told me something.
Right. Right.
And it changed my life.
Mhm.
Like I used to sit all the way at the back and I was pretty comfortable as a backbencher for life, whatever. I moved to the front. I said paying closer attention in class and everything changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started now hitting the highest grades. That was when I was doing my bachelor's. Like this guy just unlocked me with just one word.
Right. It's profound, right? It's profound.
And with a few words, sorry. He unlocked me with a few words. And just believing in you and telling you that, hey, by the way, you have this level of potential. And now when I started like trying to live up to that, not even trying, when I just worked towards realizing that potential, I started to succeed.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I started to excel. Right? And then it became normal. You know what I mean? And versus when I was younger, I was trying my best not to disappoint everyone.
Right.
So I just kept on hitting the middle every time. And that was the best I could do because that is exactly what I was aiming towards. And when I tried to have this time conversation, I just started looking at some of the people I know who succeed easily. And just ask them to tell me about their stories. And I realized all of them have that point. I know my father is a very successful individual. And he said that for him, what he considers is one of his turning points is that when he was like really young, when he finished P7, he was the first one in like the whole in the village to go through P7 without repeating a class. So, the chairman, the LC, I don't know what they were called at that time, but the equivalent of the chairman of the town, put him on the shoulder, walked him around the whole village and said, this kid is the future. And until from that point moving forward, he just expected himself to be great at whatever he does. And therefore, he was great at whatever whatever he did.
Right.
You get what I mean? Because he was just realizing the potential that was already in him, that someone had said that was already
That was there.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a very, very interesting subject when it comes to realizing your potential. And you did mention something about how do we pay it forward.
Yeah.
In a way, even when I look at Nile Valley, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
Yeah, I discover talent. I most of the people I'm working with, I found them. I discovered them at the campus level, and I'm like, you have something special.
Right.
And if you pursue this path, this is what is waiting for you on the other side.
Right.
And when, so that is, and it has been a real joy watching some of them grow into the people who they
are. Yeah.
And it's up to today. I'm still encouraging more people when I see them. And I'm almost never wrong about the abilities of people. The few times when and this happens to all of us, the few times when people don't realize their potential, it's because they just got in their own way.
Right.
And it's always
thinking
us getting in our own way. It's always and that's the accountability part. You really have to have that accountability. There's so many things will happen. Like you can plan something, you can plan a pretty picnic and all that kind of stuff. But things will happen, and they will get in the way. It will rain. It will.
You can't control the weather.
You can't. You get what I mean? Yeah, outcast.
Yeah.
You get I was trying not to plagiarize them, but okay.
You were allowed for such time.
Yeah. Exactly. Plan a pretty picnic. Can't predict the weather, but you will never lose the responsibility to
Right.
reach your goal.
Right.
Yeah.
it's your-
So walk with an umbrella.
yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Do whatever you gotta do, but keep going. And
Right.
and things are going to happen, but keep going. But many times we let things get in the way. And
Right.
it's not, and key word, we let things get in the way. We get distracted. I remember when I was in campus and my professor told me that I let a lot of things get in the way
Right.
that are typical of a 21-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Getting,
You're getting in your
things that had nothing to do with pursuing my potential.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to be a campus kid
Yeah.
and enjoy my time at college.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I always think about it now that I'm older, and I'm like, man, if I only just stay focused, I would have been probably, I would have moved further. But also, some things you have to go through.
Yeah.
You have
You have to learn it for yourself.
You have to learn it for yourself.
Yeah.
So just to bring it back, how do we as a people get in our own way from realizing our potential as Africans?
I think in the broader context, we have to think about some of the things that are in that prevailing narrative. Remember, we talked about the prevailing narrative and the things that we want to shift the narrative from. We talked about earlier how, discarding our own ways of knowing and our own ways of being and even our own appearance, like, the wanting European hair and lighter skin, and those are all things we're absorbing from that narrative that we need to be conscious and intentional of how we want to be expressing ourselves. I'll give a personal example, but it just shows how deeply embedded those things can be. And I think for years I straightened my hair, like I not with chemicals, but like with blow dryers and straightening the hair, and it was a lot of money and stress and time. And if you had asked me during that time, I would not have maybe equated it to what I have absorbed about the narrative about European hair being more beautiful. But that is the narrative that I was playing out in that. I later realized that that's what was happening. And I realized it in a moment that was crucial, right? I was about to defend my dissertation. And I looked myself in the mirror and I had that straight hair and I was like, this isn't who I am. This isn't who I want to show up as in the world. And so in that moment, I went and I washed my hair and allowed it to, throw out as much as it could from the years of straightening. But what I'm saying is that notion was so deeply embedded. And it's, if you go on YouTube University, you can go people's through hair journeys are a whole other genre on its own, and what that says about you.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Or no hair journeys.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is really becoming intentional about the things that you have. Sometimes because it doesn't necessarily pop out like you're saying, right? Sometimes it really just takes a great deal of self-examination to be able to come to that point. And I feel like things like defending my dissertation or putting yourself in situations that are pushing your boundaries can get you to the point where you're able to examine the things that are guiding your thinking. Because if you stay in your comfort zone, you brought up a few things that I wanted to bring up. If you stay within your comfort zone, you're not necessarily going to have those moments that will cause you to do that self-examination, that the deep self-examination that you need to do in order to, again, intentionally replace those beliefs with the ones that you want guiding you now. And where, like where I am with my hair journey with short hair and natural and, all of those things, it was a process. It took time, and going back to what I'm saying, takes getting out of your comfort zone that allows you for those things to come to the surface so you can examine them and be intentional about what you want to believe. But also what you talked about, coming from a base of fear versus a base of progress or development or faith. I think that's a good way to question what it is that you want to unlearn. Why do I believe this? Is it coming from a place of fear? Because I feel like there are many things that are guiding the way, especially in our African context, that come out of fear, that come out of, I'll give another example. When I gave birth to my oldest son, whose name is Avery, I didn't want to give him an English name. Right? I just wanted him to have names from Ugandan names, just no English names. And so it was like a huge, it caused a firestorm in our family of debates, what if, he was born in the US? What if he wants to be president? And, I ended up giving in and giving Avery his English name. His Luganda name is Mugabe. But I ended up giving in at that particular time. And again, I feel like that's from fear. We all have English names. That comes from the colonial legacy of when we had to have, I think people of my era, you couldn't register in school or get baptized unless you had an English name. So people are still perpetuating that, even though that's no longer true.
I think we have arrived at something really important, and that is fear.
Mm-hmm.
And how deeply rooted is this fear?
Mm-hmm.
And I've just come to, we're talking about my childhood's definition of everything about learning was somehow rooted in fear. And that prevented me from realizing my, I would say, potential. And you've talked about how it was even at a level of self-identity, of beauty, even when it comes to something invasive, to the point that you have to name your child out of fear.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is something that, in a way, it's somehow metaphorical, that you're passing on this fear to the next generation. It brings me to the fear that I have been feeling the whole of this year, from the beginning, when we all heard about the cuts, right? About the 8 cuts. I don't want to get too deep into that. Everyone knows how that situation, so I'm not going to dive into it. But there was a lot of pain, a lot of disruption, and a lot of, I would say, an outlook that is not so bright. And some people say that, hey, maybe this is what we needed. And to be honest, in that moment, and for the majority, for the longest time, I didn't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hear that. I don't want to hear anyone telling me that it's a good thing. I hate it when someone tells me it's a good thing, and because that is there's a you can only say that when it then really affect you. Right. Or maybe you can, but if you were somehow found yourself in a better prepared position, or it didn't affect you, good for you. But there's some people who are really suffering because of this this train that was abruptly stopped, and there's a lot of fallout, and there's a lot of so many people's lives have been halted by this. But I would want to humbly pivot back to something that I think we're talking about unlearning. Something that I have realized that I've struggled with personally. And that is the acceptance that everything does in fact happen for me, however bad it may seem, that it is happening. I know there's so many things. I think I had a rather difficult year last year, and personally, and so many things were happening, and I lost my mind over them, and I was having sleepless nights, and I was losing so much people that were close to me, and all that, and relationships were, on the road, were crashing in so many ways, and also just my sanity and my belief in myself and my confidence, particularly so particularly on the business side of things, and you reach a certain level in life where you can't really say business and the person is separate from your business. It's kind of the, everything that happens in your business world affects your family directly.
Of course, yeah.
So and then sometime I realized, wait, like did this happen for a reason? Now I'm reflecting, because I realized that a lot of good came out of all those things that were really frustrating and that really hurt me at the time. But a lot of good has come out of them, and they have made me a better person, or a stronger person, or prepared me for the season that I'm in right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you think, and I don't want to attach these two meanings, what happened to me personally and what's happening to what has happened to so many people who are affected by the cuts. But would you put, would you say that it's something worth considering that in fact everything that does happen happens for us, and it happens for you the way it happened for me? Like, I wouldn't have believed it last year, but I'm seeing it now, and I'm like, oh, that happened for my favor. Because there were some forces that were, there were things that were rolling in, there were things that were in motion that I wouldn't have known about. And it's because of the fallout that happened, that affected me so much personally last year, that has prepared me for the changes that I'm seeing in my life today. And I was comfortable. Now I'm uncomfortable. The uncomfort prepared me for some of the things I'm seeing today. So do you feel like, would you say that, hey, we're going to be okay?
That's a big question. But if I take the experience that I read in the book, I talk about being grateful for the refugee experience, and people are like, well, how could you be
that's a tough
grateful for that?
That's a tough story. Maybe you can just share that story.
Yes, I mean, we talk about, being separated from our parents, and our parents went to the U.S., and then we were, taken over to Kenya, and, we had to be reunited through Amnesty International. It was, it's a big, intense experience.
That's intense.
But again, just like you're saying, you look back. Well, first you look back and think all the things that could have happened to this African girl that didn't happen. And not to say that the people who were in that experience and had those, horrible things happen to them, also haven't taken that experience and moved on to progress. I always think there is some building material in the experience that you are having. I said, this is part of what we're saying is take the lived experience and builds from there to progress. And what something that I've always been fascinated by is how people can break through even in the worst of circumstances, while other people seem to fail even with high levels of privilege. So each experience can be the building material that takes you to the level of progress. And again, it's all perspective, right? It's not necessarily anything that changed for you externally. It was an internal shift that made you see the opportunity in that moment.
There's something that you say a lot.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned it in the first episode about being empowered.
Yes.
Someone, I believe it was me, who said something to do with empowerment. And you're like, we don't need empowerment. We don't need anyone to come and empower us. We are already powered. And we are a resilient group.
Yes.
Yeah, we are a resilient continent. We've been through so many things. We have been through colonialism. We've been, some parts of the continent have dealt with apartheid.
Yes.
And
yes.
And there's still so many things happening, wars and on different parts of the continent. But we have kind of risen many times, or above what is happening, and gone on to just thrive, in spite of what's happening. So I think it goes back to, when you talk about being resilient towards Africans, it goes back to taking some steps back and realizing that, hey, while this is happening and we are afraid and that fear is casting this dark cloud over us, we will be okay, because we have been through stuff before, and we have been okay, and we're still here as a people. We will come out stronger, because of the building materials that you've talked about that come out of experience. And I think we just have to take those step backs and take a step back and realize that we've really come a long way, and that can give us strength to move forward.
And to leverage our culture, to go back to the example that I was giving with my son, in between having my older son and my younger son, Barack Obama became president. And I was like, well, if Barack Hussein Obama can be president, I can name my child anything. And if he wants to be president, he'll be president. So I think when people break through, especially, you have like a person who breaks through, it gives us all, that part of that poem was, when you shine, you give other people permission to shine.
The same, yeah.
Also, and so my younger son, I gave him all Ugandan names, right? And also I made it a point, and all of that is, of course, you're always having to manage the narrative, because people are still in that narrative, right? And I brought my younger son back when he was 1 year old. I brought him back to Uganda, and he has grown up in rural Uganda. And all of those things are things that people questioned. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you stay in the United States? It's so much better. But it's so much better for whom? Whom is it better for? Whom is it better for? Is it better for us as Africans to lose the identity and continue on this narrative that has been set pretty much without our input? Or is it better to be able to understand our own culture and our own heritage and be intentional about what we want to keep and how we want to move forward? And it doesn't have to be this narrative that has been said. So my hope in bringing my son back and having him grow up here in Uganda and learn the language and and understand his culture, and is so for him to be rooted in the history and the culture and the language, so that he can take on. He still learned English. We're all speaking English. No matter how well you speak English, you're never going to be English. You're still going to remain a Ugandan speaking English. So you also need to understand, what does that mean? What does it mean? What is it that I can gain from my culture, that I can move forward with, and influence your own progress, and be able to intentionally define it for yourself. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope you're thinking about what you need to unlearn, and identifying those things that maybe are guiding your thinking, that aren't the life you aspire to live. So we thank you for joining us. And I'm Anna Amani, here with
Alex Basinje.
And we're both here to journey with you as we realize it and evolve. And we encourage you to watch us in a group, talk about the things that we're discussing, encourage other people to subscribe. We thank you for the support so far, and the momentum that this movement is getting. So please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.